Stylus pens for note-taking e-ink devices, there used to just be one or two in the market, and most manufacturers just use the same one. Now they have so many that we are able to compile a list of 10. Some are big, some are thin, some are really expensive, and some have magnet snaps. Today we're looking at the top 10 Wacom styluses for e-ink devices. Coming in at number 10 is the stock pen for the Remarkable 2. It's not very impressive by any means. It does have a nice design line on it. It's weighted alright. It has kind of a blunt nib. There's no eraser and there's no canister at the back for nibs. And why this is important is because pretty much every pen up until now from Remarkable has had some sort of pen nib storage capabilities. Not only that, the pen isn't actually even included with the purchase of a Remarkable. You can look it up yourself. You actually have to add either this or the premium pen to your purchase in order to get any sort of stylus. That's right, the stock pen is not included with the Remarkable itself, and it's $50 USD. It's not cheap. Next on the list is the Supernote stock pen. This is the one that does come included with the device, and it is made out of metal and it looks pretty good. There's also 3 colors available. Now the lapel clip is pretty brittle. It's a little bit simple, there's no buttons, and the replacement nibs are really expensive. They're about $34.99 just for the replacement canister, and the pen itself is $40 to replace. Now granted, if you do buy the later generation with the ceramic nib, that one is a little bit better because you don't have to replace the nib, but you can't use it on any device other than the Supernote at that point. Number 8, the Onyx Max 3 White Edition pen. This was an extremely limited run, and the pen didn't really do that well, and the Max 3 and Lamy respectively do not have this pen included. They just use the cheapo pen that pretty much everyone uses. This pen was really fat, it had an eraser at the back, and it didn't have an eraser on the side. It was a triangular design, so it was kind of easy to hold, despite the fact that it's so bulky and unwieldy, and it has a weird stylus loop that you would never really want to put anything on there. It doesn't have a magnet snap or anything else, and the nibs are white instead of black, so it was totally out of left field for Onyx. Number 7, the Marker Signature Pen for the first generation Remarkable. It was an all-metal design. It was absolutely gorgeous. It had 1 nib in the tip and 3 nibs behind the back that you twist off. It had a tactile button at the back as well, and you get 12 extra nibs in the box. Now that back button actually doesn't do anything, and this thing was expensive. It's $110 USD. It's not a cheap pen. And because of that, and the fact that it has no eraser capabilities whatsoever, and the nibs wear down pretty quickly, it couldn't really rank any higher. Number 6, one of the most unique pens on the list is the Xaomi W7 Moan stylus. It was totally unique, it was super stylish, it was a great feel, and it kind of felt like one of those premium pens you have when you're signing documents. It's nice and thin and light, but that simplicity and the fact that it is thin and light didn't give you the best experience because there was no weight to the pen at all. It was really cheap though at only $30 USD. Halfway through the list at number 5 is the Remarkable 2 Marker Plus. It had a high grit sandpaper feel over the entire length of the pen. The nibs are really nice. It overall had a great feel to it, a decent weight. It was a little bit heavier than the stock pen, and it had an eraser on the back. But again, there's no side buttons and no nib canister. And again, every other pen up until this point, except for the Remarkable 2 stock pen, has had some sort of nib capabilities stuck into the pen itself. Also, this thing was not cheap by any standards. It's $100 USD, and if you're just joining us, when you buy the Remarkable 2, you actually don't even get a stylus with it. You have to choose something. Number 4 on the list is a breath of fresh air, all pun intended. This is the Note Air Stylist. It had a magnetic snap on the side, had good weight, good length, good grip, and a pinpoint nib rather than blunt nibs that basically everyone else in the industry uses. Now there were no buttons on it, but it did snap to the side of the device, and it was very refreshing because Onyx never really changes their pen styluses. They've changed it once or twice over a course of 3 to 4 years, so it's just really refreshing to see the fact that they're making new things, and this pen definitely has a lot of accuracy to it. Number 3, the Lamy Pen. This has some amazing R&D behind it, and it also has the greatest cross-compatibility out of any stylus on the market. The design is fantastic. It's both designed and manufactured in Germany. They have an eraser button that works as well almost on any different device, and it has a really nice lapel clip and an overall good creative score. However, it just is made entirely out of plastic. It's a little bit bulky and it has a blunt nib. It's also $90 because you're basically just paying for the brand more than anything else, but because of its cross compatibility and overall form factor, it definitely rates as one of the top 3. Number 2, Supernote Heart of Metal. It is no denying that Supernote devices are not super high spec, super customizable devices, but the Supernote line of digital stationery is top notch. The Heart of Metal has absolutely no wear and tear on the pen nibs because of the ceramic nibs. It is absolutely beautiful. There's 10 different colors. It looks like a real pen. It has replaceable canisters, and it's priced really well at $50. Now, the downside is the fact that it does use a ceramic nib means that although it works great on the Supernote, you actually can't use it on any other devices. It will work on every other Wacom device in the industry, but there is a chance that you will scratch your screen because the ceramic nib is very hard. But there's so few cons with this is that it ranked super high on our list. Honorable mention before we get into number 1, and that is of course the Sony DPT RP1 or CP1 stylus. Now we know that it's not technically Wacom in the conventional sense, and it doesn't actually work on anything else, but it is one of the most beautiful pens on the market. It's made entirely out of metal. It has graphite nibs that offer the best writing experience on any device. It has an eraser button, and it's the only device to employ a highlight button. It also has a lithium-ion battery on board, it has a magnet snap, and it has a stylus loop. It's absolutely beautiful, and it's actually 4 years old at this point, but it's still respected in the community so much that both Fujitsu and QuirkLogic made current 2020 models on this hardware because of the writing capabilities. Unfortunately, it doesn't make any place on our list because it doesn't work on anything else except Sony, Fujitsu, or QuirkLogic respectively. Number 1, surprising to even us, the iReader X Pen. This thing came out of nowhere for us very recently, got sent to us, we reviewed it, we absolutely fell in love with it, and it is so good. There are so few cons. It has an aluminum core that runs through the entire length of the pen, which offers a lot of structural rigidity and overall weighted feel, which means it's perfectly weighted. It works on most, if not all, devices. It has nice styling, good response, accurate nibs, and a nib canister at the back underneath the screw part, where if you unscrew it, you can actually house 2 nibs. It's also made out of such nice materials, and it looks great. The only downside is that it doesn't have an eraser, but it's only $49.99 USD. So it really does make the top of our list because it just hits all the marks. It looks great, it performs well. It's just one of the perfect pens in the Wacom world that doesn't cost an arm and a leg, but you definitely feel your money is well spent on it. Now let's let the disagreements, the hate for us, and the discussion begin with everyone saying that we are entirely wrong in our list. We believe we are right. We've been in the industry for 12 years. We've been reviewing note-taking devices since the very beginning. We have picked out the top 10 stylus pens that run Wacom on e-ink screens. If you guys agree with us, if you guys disagree with us, leave a comment down below. For GoodyReader.com and a top 10, this is Peter.